talk to me while you dream. He's really geeking today, boys. Baby again. Okay. Welcome back. Yesterday was Power BI. Today is we're backtesting. And I was backtesting earlier. And I'm very excited about this. Again. And my cat's been freaking out. Again. What's up, Bubba? What's up, Bubba? What's up, Bubba? So, oh, you want to say something? You want to say something? Oh, it's getting hot in here, dude. First burp of the evening. God bless you. Okay. So, you're going to see some wacky shit. This looks kind of crazy. And you'll have to excuse me for that. This looks kind of crazy. You'll have to excuse me for that. Because, so we're still using, this is like, I guess, kind of a new strategy. We're still testing supply and demand. But we're layering in some new tools. We're going to be testing supply and demand using the application of, well, okay, one of the good things about this whole thing that I'm about to do is that it's kind of going to force me to do higher time frame analysis, which I don't usually do. I might draw out levels, but that's about it. But really, I should be doing more robust stuff. So we're going to still be drawing out supply and demand zones, right? I think we're going to be a little more loosey-goosey with them. So you might not see the most perfect, like, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be a little goosey-goosey with these. We're going to draw out, like, you know, that's a supply and demand zone. There you go. Whatever. We're going to be using reg channels. These are new. You can't see it when I draw it yet because, and it actually just broke, because reg channels are kind of a statistical channel based on all the aggregate data in between two candles. So all you do is like draw. It'll automatically show you the line of best fit between two candles in the middle. And then I think it's one standard deviation away from that. Or maybe two. We just use the default settings on NT. Whatever. Just use the default settings. Reg channels. And maybe a little bit of trend line drawing. But yeah, that's kind of it. Market replay has been a little wacky for me. It's not actually like replaying. I guess I don't have tick data or something, or maybe it's because I don't have any money in the account right now. But it's basically just, all right, my cat's gonna play with this, I guess. So, this is and it looks very confusing and intimidating, and it is. And I just started messing with it so that I can be less confused and intimidated. I color coded these so that, because there's two main channels that I want to draw, and it's just easier if you're not staring at a million of the same color line drawn over itself over and over and over again. I have really good, there was like one really good example from when I back tested in like May of last year, but I don't want to go straight back to that because I don't want to break all this. So I'll just show you what I have right now. Maybe we'll go back later. And then maybe we'll see what some actual like levels might be right now. Because the gentleman who put me onto this also told me about a couple levels, but he didn't tell me, or he did and I wasn't listening. He didn't tell me why those were good levels. And I actually don't even remember what the levels are. But I think that's perfect because now I can kind of use what I've learned here, and we can back engineer this bad boy, see if we can find those levels ourselves. A little homework for this fine Friday. So, okay, here's the core of these channels. We're still going to be drawing zones. We know how to draw zones, but this big green channel, you notice it starts from this vertical line. That's the 1801 Globex Open. And I didn't even think about like other opens besides New York until yesterday. You just need to know that it's 1801 to 1801. We're drawing a reg channel on NinjaTrader. It should be on all of your trading channels, trading platforms. 1801. And this one, we just draw it forward until the most recent bar. Okay? Most recent candle. And just like imagine for a second that that this isn't all loaded. You're just going to draw it as it goes and like watch it. You'll see it fit. It's literally like the definition of overfitting, basically, but it's statistics. It's numbers, kid. It's numbers. And you're gonna see why it's useful if we can find some good examples. I mean, I have a couple that I'll show you, but you're gonna see why it's useful. So like the day is just playing out and you're just drawing this, drawing it. And you see it just takes an average of, so you see how this big dip doesn't change it that much right away, but back here, like this dip, it follows that up, it follows this up. It's just averaging all of this data. And it's taking all the data from all the market participants and all the price, and it's telling you here's what has been the most accepted price. So I'm not an expert on this, but I have an idea of what's going on. We just want to be aware of how it reacts to these levels as it draws out. And it'd be cool if I could like fucking open this. It's just not letting me change my drawings. Okay, and it's genuinely tweaking, I think, because let me show you what I have first, and then we'll restart this. So, okay. The other channel that we draw is and I'm going to draw this out so you can see it in real time, kind of. Bam. Move. Can you see him? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's going to break too. Cool. That's wrong. It was so beautiful out today, and now it's fucking cold as balls. It's not cold, but it's not warm. Okay, so we probably just got rid of everything. Oh, this isn't the playback, but You know what? While we're fucking reloading all this shit, let me just go back to May. And, I hope it was May. If it's not May, this is really gonna suck. Okay. May. Okay. So yeah, great. It doesn't show you what's going on. But now we can kind of show you from scratch the actual process. So now you know kind of what the reg channels are. I'll go over them again when we zoom in. But basically just channels that average all this shit. We're looking at the daily. And so let's say, so we're going to start on the daily, of course, and just go down and find where there were like zones. So like we don't know that we're going to come up here, but here's a zone. And just kind of go down. I'm going to do this process. This is like pre-market stuff that we're familiar with. There's our zone that we drew up there. And now you're just going to know where stuff is that's like big. This happened on big time frames, right? Price zoomed down from that zone, okay? 30-minute kind of gets more fractal, but I'm happy with that one there. Okay. And then we're going to go all the way down in the 1 minute. We're back to the 1 minute, boys. Just like we used to do back in the day. Actually, around this time when last summer. Okay, and then I'm just going to pump this head. I'm just going to like, I think I'm going to load this whole day because I am remembering what happened. And are those zones still there? They are. Okay. Kind of gives you a little giveaway on what's going to happen. 5-1. So yeah, let's just play it out. Oh, the other thing is, I actually can't remember if I must have drawn. Okay, so let's look at our 601 candle here, 1801. I just call it the 1801. And you can see it was kind of a sideways day, really. And there was this downtrend. And then, so this is your 1601. 1801. Whoops. So the big green one is your situation. Now, normally you would draw this whole thing through, but it became clear that this is a reversal at some point. So even if you are here and you're like, okay, this is looking like it's reversing, it's popping up. So maybe what we're gonna do instead is finish the 1801 candle at that low, the channel at that low, and then get a new one in there to represent this new trend. And this, I'm kind of skipping around because this is like kind of the third type of channel you would draw. Your core second channel would be from 9:30. Okay, so you're always going to draw 1801, and you're always going to draw from 9:30. And let's delete this for a sec. You can kind of see on some days that they're just gonna match up nicely. And I feel like when they're both agreeing with each other, that is dope. And you want to pay attention to places like that. Maybe they intersect. We have too many like EMAs or whatever the fuck is going on. Yeah. And so like within here, while this is going on, you'll draw in like your zones and such. And so here is a nice little zone, and it doesn't exactly touch that, but when you see this kind of candle formation form, it's not 100. It's not awesome because it's not both, but you're tapping the top of this 930 channel. You're kind of close to this, but both the channels are agreeing that this is a downtrend, and you're also in this supply zone. So this looks like a good place to sell to me. Now the other thing is that the way that we look at signal candles might change a little bit. So obviously this isn't a good signal candle, but like maybe we just sell when we get into that zone. And that's not a lot of risk. Maybe just sell when it hits that zone. Maybe you sell on this one. Take it down to any of these lows. I think it still takes out, yeah. Take it down to the midline. Take it down to the bottom of the channel. Because, again, like, if this is boing, 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 right? Like, this is a down channel, just lower lows, higher, lower highs, higher lows. Lower highs, lower lows. That's what this is. Then we can kind of expect it to just keep doing that, and then to go again down to that low, which it does. If you draw it between this low and this low, if you draw a ray, it gets to that point. So that's not a great example, but that's the idea. It's like zone, channel, reg channel, top, and trend agreement. We know where the trend is, where it's going. We have two channels. The power is kind of in the aggregation of price data, which is represented by the channels. Okay, so let's look at a little better of an example later today. So we're still going to drag out this 930 candle, channel. I keep saying freaking candle, dude. And like, what do you notice happens as we kind of like hits its bottom, makes a higher bottom. Makes a higher bottom compared to this. Makes a higher high up here. And if you kind of look at how if we're drawing out, well, we can draw this out too. Kind of just draw out the trend lines and get a feel for it. Like, you notice that it bounces right off of this trend line once it breaks above it. That doesn't always happen. But this just ends up being, I feel like break and retests are nice. I don't think that's a great setup. But also if you like imagine this line continued, same thing. It's bouncing off the top of this line, projected forward. Of course, if you come here to where it actually bounces, it takes that into account and pokes below it and then keeps going. And let's say we're kind of here, and let's also say we have our other channel drawn. So let's do let's do this. And, you know, come to think of it, like, maybe this isn't an amazing... Okay. So you have your, because price reversed, you drew your new 1801 line. Instead of dragging this one over, which would kind of just give you a flat, it might give you the same signal, honestly, because like both of them are relatively flat and you're seeing this trend turn upwards, but it's like slightly cleaner. And I say cleaner, and it looks like a fucking mess with all these lines. But what I saw was like this little bit of pop here. This looks like a zone forming, a demand zone forming. And then it comes down and it like really nicely bounces out of the zone. It bounces out of the top of the 930 channel, which is this one here, right? So it bounces out of the top right there. It bounces at the bottom of the new green zone. And so this just looked good to me. And I don't have volume profile. I don't have VWAP on NinjaTrader. I'm sure it's on online, but I don't have it on here. But like VWAP, volume profile is the other part of this equation that I don't have access to, that I want to, that I just can't get right now. I'm looking at other ways to get it. But that's going to help you also, like, guess what, if there's a big fat, you know, volume spike here as well, that's just another reason to take your shit, buddy. Maybe even to like buy in at that point, you know, or buy in at this zone, as it were. But, you know, you can buy up here, and it is high risk. But this ends up being a big play, and it goes. This is like the reversal, like fully realized. Goes up to that zone we drew. You do see like a little bit of a bouncy poo. Not much. I mean, you could scalp a short up there. This is the problem. I don't understand how people who do this can handle all these lines, but you get used to it. You get a little bit of a bouncy poo, but like really, it's not bad. But still, the risk you take on in the face of changing trend is what the real issue is. And it goes up and it does peter out eventually. But yeah, so that was my example that I remembered as being a good example, but it's kind of, you know, okay. You want to get, I've only been backtesting this today, so like I haven't found like my grade A++ example. But you know, they're out there somewhere, and we just gotta find it. Okay, so let's perhaps go back and to match. I had it clean too, like it was looking good, and then I broke it. Okay. And I haven't been looking at the charts in March that much, but it kind of doesn't matter because that's not the point. The point is we're looking at this with a new set of eyes. Get this scratching my face. What do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about scratching my face? Hmm? What do you think? Hmm? Hmm? The criminal. He's dubious. Say something. Say something to the people. Okay, he doesn't want to talk. Oh, how does a plastic chair squeak this much? You know? Okay. Let's zoom out. Let's take a look at the daily. I think it's and I think draw this out a little bit. Here's our daily. Okay, nothing recent. I also do know what happened next, and there was kind of a news thing, news cycle cause for all this, but you do see this. So maybe we'll see if something happens there. That's the 4 hour, 1 hour. We can ignore this. So, what was poppin'? There was. I want to not use this one for a sec. You can draw like your things on that daily and then bring them down, and you'll see some changes in the force. You'll see some like reactions on the lower levels in a different way because it does adjust for like the new candles. I just want to see if this was so. Like right now, I'm just drawing the 1801 and the 930, and again, like your 1801 is down. Your 930 is also down. Your 930 is actually more down than your 1801. So that's of interest. Like, obviously, it just goes flat overnight. Okay, so we kind of, but we're thinking like maybe we have a bearish bias from here. And what happened here? I'm trying to redraw what happened, but worried he's gonna take a piss. You gonna take a piss over there? You already took a piss. Boy. Get it, that guitar. Okay, so sometimes it'll help you out with a little bit with directionality, but these are like, there's not a crazy gap, but they are kind of pointing bearish, you know. This one a little bit though, like this is flat, but it's slightly up, while the 930 is pointing down. I gotta keep an eye on him. But it opens kind of within that 1801 channel, so it's like, I mean, this whole day was really flat, jeez. Until then. So you might not expect anything crazy. Like maybe if it opened below the channel, you can see like, oh, okay, you have a little more of a bias. It is only the difference of an hour in here, so nothing crazy. But if there's a crazy gap in an hour, then you know something's happening. Okay, so like I'm literally just drawing these over and over again, and take a closer look. 930. Paranoid about him shitting. He shat so many places in the house. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Okay, well, they're different, so. I really wish this replay was working, but it's not. I don't understand this. It's already drawn out for that time period. But, okay. Let's just draw it out to friggin' pre-market, March 2nd. How about that? Nope. Okay. Now the data's just... I think that's... Yeah. Is that all the data I get? That's a real pain in the ass, huh? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Chief. I want to backtest like at least a day. Like, should we just fuck off back to May? I mean, really a second-class citizen here. Let's start the second week of May. Okay. 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 5, 6, 9. Then let's start it right at 9:40. Okay. Okay. This is genuinely such a pain in the ass. There's a big gap the day before. Jeepers creepers. Let's just draw this. Let's look at this 1801 and 930. You can see how much data happens in the session before, you know. Okay, so it's like not so much accepting price above the channel, it's respecting the channel, but it is trending upwards from that day. Okay. Let's take a look at the day. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's funny, too, because if you bought in on that candle we drew out, you could have just held that one. That's like the other good strength of this is just, well, I think I've already said it's like the trend, but it really is the trend. It's like about the term. You can really start. I'm not saying I can do it perfectly, but like you can start to see the trend. You like my little sauce? You can really start to see like important sections of the trend where it's reversing. Like you can see when the trend is really in agreement with itself, and I think I hypothesize that that's where you can get into these good trades down here. The only problem with this one is if you did do that, you set your stop down here, you would have gotten stopped out. So oops. Okay. So yeah. So yeah. So yeah. What else do we see? We saw this. So we did trade up into this. We just looped all the way back to the beginning of the darn stream, didn't we? And let's just go down. But I do want to, let's draw this, because now that we're at a new trend, let's draw this. It doesn't look great because it's so skinny. But what if we did this? Hello. Looks a little better, right? Let's just go down. I'm learning how to draw these, so maybe I should have kept it the first way. But okay, so that's the big one that we just drew. This longer one here. I might even make that a different color so that we don't get it confused with our days. Salmon, sure. Okay, that's on the 4 hour. Here we are in the 1 hour. And, it's just making shit up now. Jesus. Okay. Coming up into that big old zone here. You can see it bounced off of here too. So like maybe that was another opportunity. I can't see where the bottom of that is. But maybe that's another opportunity to get in. On this candle, that's a nice candle. Right at the bottom. Still just trucking up. It's pre-market. So yeah, like I do and I don't like having that big ass one there. Cause sometimes it respects it, but right now it's like it is bouncing off of it, but it's really here you can see it kind of a little agnostic about it. I'ma hide it. How about that? I'm gonna hide it. And we're gonna start with our regularly scheduled 1801, right? Okay, so we're way above it at 9:30. Ooh, it's tart. It's tart. I had one of those little frozen personal pieces. God, that shit's brutal. Here's also where you're like, okay, would I do this and then do this? I'm starting to think that because of the power of data, like, do you not want to fragment the day like that? Especially since this is only like, this is our bigger channel. This is our big channel with all the data, and maybe we don't want to fragment it after a few hours, Okay, but regardless, 9:30. We had like a lot of weird action, but definitely some upward movements here. So I think we're bullish, and I think we want to be aware of what's going to happen up at that zone there. Okay, and there's a dang demand zone right here too. And it's interesting too. This is like a little bit of it kind of popped into a teensy, not 100% supply zone, but you're also like, you don't want to be super, yeah, I thought it was moving for a sec. You don't want to be super bearish here with the way that this thing is moving. I'm trying to think if there's like any reason to get short there, other than that you would expect it to revert to the mean, but it just doesn't always do that. Let's move up just a little bit. And there you go. You would have gotten fiddly ducked on that short. So listen to your heart, baby. And yeah, it's, again, like now it's just trading above the thing. It can keep doing that all day. It can do whatever it wants. I'm just looking at what happened along the way, like any zones we can draw, anything that would have. I mean, let's see what this looked like when it tapped this zone. It looked like that. I mean, that's kind of convincing, right? Like, you want to be cuddly now? Now you want a little itchy scratch? You want to be all cuddly? Come here, boy. So, damn. All right, go ahead. Okay, so here's what I do like about this big green candle right here is you're very bullish. You're at the bottom of your 930 channel 2, right? It's poking through and poking back up, and you're in this zone. So I'd say you can just drink that, man. Oh my God, they're so warm. And I'm always like, because of the way I've heard these guys trade, it's like they wouldn't buy up there and take all that risk. And they would, like, maybe, from my understanding, if this is a good zone for them and they see it like breaking through here, you know, they might just buy it, just like limit buy at the zone. And it could also depend on what the volume profile is telling you at that stage. I mean, with that risk profile, if you're only risking 6 points and you take it to the next high, 1775. But let's see what happens. Let's see if this breaks down and takes out the bottom of that zone, touches this situation right here, Lord. Because as this keeps going, does what the heck are you doing, boy? As this keeps going, it does hit like the top. It's banging against the top of this, and at this point now, you're like, it is breaking through the bottom of the zone of this channel. So now you might be a little sketched out because it's not bouncing back up. It's pushing lower and lower. Okay, let's go a little more. And yeah, it does go back below that zone. It touches kind of the projection of this. I'm sure it touches it in real life too. Yeah. But that's where it ends up bouncing up again. Not a ton here. So like maybe what I wonder what tells you to take it up here, you know? It's really scalping. It's really scalpy. You'd love to take it all the way up, like we saw before, but if it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. And you gotta get your base hits in, boy. It's baseball. You know? So it bounces a little again off that zone, but then it comes down here. And what's at this zone? Maybe it wants to return to this area, you know, to the 930 channel. And then we keep going. You know, the bounce off of this top is like pretty sweet. You certainly get like a zone forming right here. but you don't get a good bounce out of that. That's why I'm like, because look, that's why the limit thing doesn't really make sense as much to me, because you can buy in here. Jeepers. You can buy in that zone, and then you instead of it going up, just go straight to the bottom, you know. But I guess that's why you do it, because your risk is less. I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah, I stared at this so much earlier. And then again, look at these kind of intersecting and then popping out of that area. But do they pop significantly? Do they break that high? Let's see. No, they go lower. So it's like, why does it go lower? Why is it not? It's just not respecting it today. So this is just a day that's like, okay, we're not crazy about it. Maybe he wants to test the mid-level, the midline. What happens here? Because, you know, that gets incorporated. This isn't like a great zone, but you end up with a little bit of a zone. And then it makes kind of a higher low at the bottom of this situation, okay? And it actually does kind of end up respecting this trend line for a while. Staying above that trend line. So you could buy here for 11 points of risk to take it up. You could do a 1-to-1. You could try to like project the high. And it does actually take out that high. And then come maybe, I mean, I know moving targets is a bad thing, but like maybe when it pings, when this becomes the top of the channel and it gets up there, just like take it off there. It's like, am I overanalyzing this? Am I looking for entries too hard? And now we're also gonna just like lose volume volatility. And okay, so it does fall down from there. He's such a doofus. The cat is typing in the chat. You're a doofball, man. So yeah, it does come back and test the midline. Oh my god. And man, I'm really just like, that's a zone, but doesn't quite get touched. Okay. Touches the midline, then it does bounce back. So we're still kind of like looking bullishly at this. It just wanted to come back down a little bit, you know. We're swimming up towards that zone. Wasn't there a zone up here? Maybe that was before. Just keep drawing this out, because you can see how like the candles just get so caterpillary, and like there's just not a lot of movement now. What did it look like here? Yeah. It kind of bounces off the bottom of that. It doesn't really touch it, and it doesn't touch this zone. So I don't see that as a great entry. Maybe volume profile would tell you otherwise. You know, but we're breaking above a little bit. Breaking above that channel a little bit. So this would be nice. You just kind of have to get a little, this is where you have to get a little loosey-goosey with this zone here. And it doesn't really even touch it. But it does touch the top. It's not like touch the top of the big channel once. It's coming down to touch it again, and that's where it starts to take off a little bit. Not crazy, but it's just okay. Otherwise, well, this kind of, you could call this a little bit of a zone here. Forming right here. And let's see what the channels tell us. Yeah, it's like, it stays like this, where it's like places that it's respecting it, but I mean, it always looks good when you look back, of course. But I think this is also probably easier to, I don't know if it's easier or harder to do forward testing, because you don't have any biases. But well, here you are seeing it really respect the top of this channel now. So if you can find your entry, and now the top of that channel is also like aligned with the midline of this channel. So if you can find your entry, this is a good one, I'll say. It doesn't take you up to that high, though. So, I don't know. Takes you up there for not a 1-to-1. Takes you for a 1-to-1 up there. That's all it gives you. This doesn't take you to the high. And it kind of goes down a little bit. Yep. That takes you to 4 o'clock. Yeah. So that's kind of a shitty day. But wow, look at that. Fucking takes off from there. And you don't really get a good signal in there. I mean, look at this though. This is at 4 already, but you end up here. You end up here. You get a little nice, finally kind of, it's moving. There's a zone down here too, but that doesn't look great. But you don't get like a bounce off of the thing. And that's not to say it's always going to give you a bounce, you know. I guess it breaks above the top of this channel and then kind of pops through it. But oh, he shit on the freaking rug again, man. Okay. He just took a shit too. Well, that's perfect timing. That's the end of the day for trading. Yeah, I mean, huge run up, but, well, I don't know, is this? Yeah, 200-point run up. That's good. But you just didn't really have your entries. And there weren't entries. Yeah. So yeah, we'll keep looking at it. It'd be nice to get another day that has like really clear kind of confluence. Man, that shit stank too. All right, see you.